Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America. Presented by Visa. We welcome you to Southern California and to the final Sunday for Hollywood Park's summer race meeting, the host site of our live thoroughbred doubleheader. And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. Welcome to Hollywood Park on a day they're calling Super Sunday. 4 graded stakes worth more than $1.4 million. We've got a superstar in our feature today as well. #1 turf horse in America. He's a Brazilian, actually, owned and bred in Brazil, the 7-year-old Sandpit. He's already earned 3 covers on the Blood Horse magazine through his racing career. And that includes, of course, the first cover he earned when he swept last year's Caesars Turf Challenge. He did it by winning the 1995 Caesars Palace Turf Championship right here at Hollywood Park. There he is, cruising to the easy victory. The 2-race sweep was worth then a total of $750,000. This year, he again goes for the sweep, but the money has grown. Take a look at the sand dollars. He's already earned the $300,000 check. The first place check in the turf race today, the bonus money would equal $1 million. Let's set up the conditions this afternoon. This is the Grade 2 Caesars Palace Turf Championship. $700,000 in the purse, 1.5 miles on the turf. It's 3-year-olds and up. Well, now to meet the field, let's go behind the grandstand to the beautiful paddock here at Hollywood Park. My colleague Dave Johnson and a special analyst.
Thanks, Chris. Well, my partner on the broadcast today is a jockey with over 4,000 victories, including 2 in the Kentucky Derby. Gary Stevens is here. About 6 weeks ago, Gary had shoulder surgery on that rotator cuff. How's it coming along, Gary?
Well, it's coming along great, Dave. They anticipate 4 to 6 months. It's a little longer than what we thought, a little more serious, but the physical therapy is coming along great right now, and I feel great.
Well, we look forward to having you back in the lineup. When we come to Southern California, usually his name is right next to one of the horses in the field, but let's see who is here today for the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. We start with Lasigny on the rail. Jerry Bailey in from the East Coast to ride at 6 to 1 in the morning line, and Chris McCarron picks up the mount on AWAD at 5. Tal Was, the only supplement to the race. Kent DeSormo rides the long shot. Second choice in the morning line, the only mare in the race, Wind Sharp, the jockey Eddie Delahousie. Special price is at 6 to 1 with Renee Douglas. Time Star at 8 with Corey Black. And the big favorite is Sandpit, 7 to 5 with Corey Nakatani, high weight 125 pounds. 7 to 5, Gary. What are the strengths for this horse to be that price?
Well, I think the main strength is his versatility. He can go to the front or he can come from behind, as we'll see here in the Caesars International race from Atlantic City. A hole develops at the rail. He's got the quick acceleration to get through it when he needs to.
Here comes Corey Nakatani with Sandpit on the inside in the blue and white colors, passing Diplomatic Jet. Was this a surprise?
Well, it was a surprise to everyone in the race. They expected him to go to the lead. Corey chose to ride him with a lot of confidence. He let him sit back off of the pace, and he came running late. Shows
he has more. Now, we know that Sandpit has a lot of versatility, but a number of other horses in this race could be victims of pace. Horses like Tal Was and Lasigny, AWAD, and Wind Sharp. If you were on one of those horses and Sandpit got a lone lead, what would you do?
Well, these riders are going to know very early on if they're a victim of the slow pace. And the worst thing that they can do is take their horse out of their game plan. Could affect them not only today, but later on in their racing this year. It messes with their mind. You don't want to change a horse's style.
Could this marathon turn into a jockey's race?
Absolutely could. These jockeys are going to be playing a chess match throughout the race, and if the pace is slow, then they're going to be wondering who should move first, sitting back, watching each other. If they move early, it's going to take their horse out of the game once again, but it's going to turn into a half-mile sprint race rather than a quarter-mile sprint race, which is what we're all looking for.
And we're looking for a great race, Chris.
All right, Dave, great to have a future Hall of Famer, Gary Stevens, with us as well. Let's check the weather here in Southern California on this early Sunday afternoon. 75 degrees, sunny and warm. The forecast, light breeze blowing and a firm turf course. But before we race at Hollywood Park, we're heading up to the state of Washington, America's newest racetrack. Emerald Downs next. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, is brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic Summer Games. This Bud's for you. And by Wittnauer Watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wittnauer, the watchmaker's watch. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, presented by Visa. Back at our host site here, Hollywood Park, but we're set to head to the Northwest now, to America's newest racetrack, Emerald Downs, and ESPN very pleased to be the first network to televise a live stakes race from America's newest racetrack. Now, while the track is new, certainly thoroughbred racing is not in the great Pacific Northwest, but more on that, and for a tour of this spectacular new facility, here's Emerald Downs President Ron Crockett.
From 1933 until Longacres closed, the racing industry in the state of Washington was a very strong industry. We backed off to about 50% of par during the downtime. Since June 20th of this year when we opened, and well into the future, we think we can easily recreate the past and have a very successful industry for the state.
Horsemen and fans waited 4 years from the closing of Longacres to the June 20th opening of Emerald Downs, but it was worth the wait.
We spent several weeks visiting other racetracks, trying to get the best design features that we saw other places incorporated into the Emerald Downs. We think we very successfully carried that out. Grandstand, great sight lines. We have a narrower and taller facility. We have a combination of the best we could possibly see in the paddock area, and we incorporate it all into one, and most people that visit us say that's the finest paddock they've ever seen. We've got a great area for families on our north end, a grass stand area where we have bands on Friday nights. It's a very festive atmosphere, and we think the facility is constructed in such a fashion that allows that.
And the race fans have responded to Emerald Downs.
One of the most significant things that's developed on this project is the on-site attendance. Across the country, when I visit various racetracks, I see the on-site attendance going down. Right now, of our total handle, 80% of it is being handled on track, which is a real rarity these days in the racing industry. We've been averaging over $1 million a day in handle. We're getting crowds of 10, 11,000 on the weekends. We've got a very good crowd mix. We've got several of the old-timers that we hadn't seen for a while returning to the industry. We feel very good about our opening weeks, and we've got a great base to build upon.
It's been a great success story so far. Their inaugural 100-day meeting that runs through November 4th, off to an outstanding start. Let's take a look now at the conditions for their first $100,000 stake in the track's history. This is the Budweiser Emerald, $100,000. It's a mile around their main track there. It's thoroughbreds 3 and up. Let's join now Dave and Gary Stevens for more on racing in the Northwest.
Well, Emerald Downs is a new racetrack, but Gary, that's a part of the country that you certainly know something about, had an impact in your career.
Big part of my career. I started out at LeBois Park in Boise, Idaho. From there, I moved on to the AAA, which was the old Longacres racetrack. I was able to polish my skills with some quality riders and some quality races, and just a big, big part of my career.
And you've been down here in the majors for the past 12 years. Well, the Budweiser Emerald Handicap has a strong Canadian influence and a lot of horses from Northern California. Let's take a look at the field. We have an entry of Military Hawk and B. Charlie, co-favorites at 2-1. Fun Boy is at 5. Final Act is also at 2-1. Hafta Nafta up to 18 with Matt Garcia, who won a race here at Hollywood Park yesterday afternoon. Pacific Command is at 30. Lel Sneaker with Van Belvoir, the leading jockey of the meet up there, at 9-2. Secret Damascus at 13. And right up Gramps Alley is at 10-1 with Vince Ward. 4 horses from the same barn. We have the entry, Final Act, and Secret Damascus.
Well, I'll tell you what about Larry Ross. He's always been a mainstay up at the old Longacres racetrack. From there, when they closed down, he moved to Northern California, and that's where his stable really blossomed. He's gone back up to Emerald Downs right now and just has a powerhouse of a stable. Got 4 horses in here. They've all got legitimate chances, and looking forward to seeing what Larry can do here.
And let's take a look at Final Act, and let's talk about exactly what kind of a horse he sets up in this race.
Well, Final Act has got a ton of speed. I look for him to be in front with some close pursuers. And if there is some close pursuers, I would look for Fun Boy maybe to be coming from way off of the pace, coming late to try and steal away from these favorites.
What about Hafta Nafta?
Well, he's a horse that has been racing at shorter distances. They've changed his style. He was a speed horse. They've been bringing him from well off of the pace in the sprint races, but stretching out today, he's very liable to be laying closer and should be in the garden spot when they hit the head of the stretch, should be laying 3rd or 4th. The whole question mark there is, can he get the distance?
So the question mark, though, is who's going to go with Final Act, number 3, with Chris Lothett, whether he's going to get an easy lead or not. And what about the old-timer, the 9-year-old Military Hawk, #1?
Military Hawk, 9 years old, been around forever, very, very consistent. He's a war horse and just loves it. But with Chris Lothett on this horse, Final Act, I would definitely look for him to be on the lead, spend a lot of time riding with Chris. He's going to send him out of there.
Now, the track announcer up there, Robert Geller, who you heard in Hong Kong.
Almost
and
ready.
They're all set. Now we'll go to the track and Robert Geller.
Often racing in the Budweiser Emerald Handicap, and Final Act got away smartly with Hafton After. Little Sneaker on the pace, and driving up in the centre is Pacific Command as they go to the first turn. The clubhouse turn shows out with Final Act, Hafton After, and also B. Charlie on the lead. A length away Pacific Command, about 1 to Little Sneaker. Further back came Right Up Graham Sally, Military Hawk well back early on, and together last is Secret Damascus and Fun Boy as they go to the first quarter, and the pace is solid, 22 and 4 the first fraction. Final Act racing away. Final Act by 3. Second Hafton After. A half to B. Charlie. Back over on the inside, Little Sneaker. A length to Pacific Command and Right Up Graham Sally. They're well out in front, about 5 lengths to Military Hawk. Next to last is Fun Boy, and last Secret Damascus is about 15 lengths off the leader. Final Act doing it stylishly as they go to the half a mile. A length and a half clear. Second Hafton After. Over on the inside is Little Sneaker. B. Charlie started to move up again. One away came Pacific Command, and back on the inside, Right Up Graham Sally. Now closing a bit is Military Hawk. Fun Boy's well back needs a run, and last of all at this stage is Secret Damascus. Final Act the leader, racing down to the 5/16, a half a length to Hafton After. On the inside, Little Sneakers had a nice run. B. Charlie the widest runner, 2 to Military Hawk. Right Up Graham Sally as they come to the home stretch, and Final Act trying to lead wire to wire. Final Act into the stretch by a length. Second Little Sneaker, Right Up Graham Sally on the inside. Now Military Hawk coming home, racing to the final furlong, and Final Act by 2, and Fun Boy getting to work. Military Hawk the thread. Final Act a length to Military Hawk, and back behind them Fun Boy, but Final Act led Military Hawk and Right Up Graham Sally, but Military Hawk and Final Act, and Final Act. Final Act has just fallen in from Military Hawk, and third is Right Up Graham Sally.
Thank you, Robert Geller. Final Act goes wire to take the first $100,000 stake ever run at Emerald Downs, the Budweiser Emerald Handicap. Final Act in great style there all the way, and held off a late charge from the one horse on the rail who came running strong at the very end, Military Hawk. We'll take another look. Remember, Final Act on the lead here, and he has been on the lead all the way. Let's go to Gary Stevens, and Gary, talk about it for us.
Final Act in front all the way. We've got Military Hawk, the old horse, running on the outside. He looks like he's got him. Fun Boy down on the inside. It actually right here looks like both horses are going to overhaul him. Final Act just got too much class. He hangs on, sticks his nose out right here, the final couple jumps.
And Larry Ross, 1-2 under the wire. Back to you, Chris.
We'll come back to make things official from Emerald Downs in Auburn, Washington, as they run their first $100,000 stake. You saw it live on ESPN. Welcome back to our Thoroughbred doubleheader, our host site here, Hollywood Park. We've just finished the first $100,000 stake in Emerald Downs, the Budweiser Emerald Handicap, and here's the unofficial order. Final Act, wire to wire, Military Hawk, the one horse, and Right Up Grandpa's Alley was the show horse. You're taking a look live at Final Act, ridden by Chris Lothett, the Canadian rider. They're owned by Canadians, Lola McCarthy and Ole Nielsen of British Columbia, and the trainer with 4 in this race, Larry Ross and his wife Sharon. So Final Act, wire to wire. He just lost by a nose his last 2 starts. Well, Dave and Gary, he got it done today.
We're going to watch Final Act in this wire-to-wire performance. Hey, do you know this jockey, Chris Lothett?
I know him very, very well. Great friend of mine. I'll tell you what, there's probably nobody better in the country riding a front runner than what Chris is. He's very, very strong through the stretch, knows how much horse he's got all the way through, and just seems to have enough to hold off, and that's Chris Lothett.
Now on the far outside, here comes the old 9-year-old class horse, Military Hawk. Fractions, 22, 46, 111. They didn't bother him up front.
They didn't bother him up front, but I'll tell you what, this is bringing back a lot of memories. Frank Gonzalez on the second place horse, Military Hawk, and these are the kind of guys that schooled me and got me to where I'm at.
And congratulations to trainer Larry Ross, who saddled the first 2 finishers under the wire. Chris, Final Act takes the Budweiser Emerald Handicap.
Not too much pressure on Chris Lolseth. He also happens to be the son-in-law of the owner, Lola McCarthy. And I know Gary is pleased that his old buddy up there just finished winning his 3,000th career race. We'll be back. We'll give you the official prices from the Emerald Budweiser Handicap in a moment. But first, back here at Hollywood Park, we're going to take a bit of a look at the present, what's happening today, what's going to be going on in the future here at one of America's great centers of thoroughbred racing with their chairman, CEO. Here's Mr. R.D. Hubbard.
Well, this is our first Super Sunday that we put together, and it's the theory is to put a group of races together, great races, and we have some really great stakes races today. Total purses of $1,700,000, of course, highlighted by the Caesars Turf Championship, and we got the great sand pit running. And of course, you always have the Bud long shot, but we have the Hubbard long shot, which is Tallywa, and we're hoping to pull off an upset here today. Well, our Autumn Turf Festival, which the nominations close for our 6 major races, they close this next week, and that's always Thanksgiving weekend. And it's turned out to be by far the biggest turf racing here in the United States at that time of the year. The horses coming over to North America for the Breeders' Cup, we think a lot of them will stay and come on out here at Hollywood Park. And of course, we have the outstanding, the richest race for fillies and mares on the turf in the country, the $700,000 Matriarch, which is our highlight. So we're looking forward to that.
We certainly are as well. Mr. Hubbard will be here December 1st for coverage of the Hollywood Derby and of the Rich Matriarch Stakes. Let's make it official now from Emerald Downs in Auburn, Washington. Here are the prices now for the Budweiser Emerald Handicap. Final act, wire-to-wire fashion, $583 and $3. Military Hawk with a big run at the end. $340 and $280, and right up Gramps Alley, $6 for the show spot. The exact is $13.40, and the Wittenauer time, $136 and $2 for the mile at Emerald Downs. Well, you know, Hollywood Park is really involved in their community, and this past Saturday morning, they hosted a youth soccer clinic put on by the top team in the new Major Soccer League, the Los Angeles Galaxy. Their stars were here to give some tips to the youngsters and sign some autographs. And of course, ESPN and ESPN2, the place to be for major outdoor soccer. Thursday night, it's Tampa Bay and Columbus, 7:30. Thrifty Car Rental racing across America, presented by Visa. Welcomes you back to Hollywood Park. The Trojan Pep Band from USC on hand here. And here's Vinny Miliolo. He is the man who runs the race and sports book at Caesars Palace, Las Vegas. Vinny, a spectacular conclusion to your summer of racing.
That's right, Chris. Of course, we kicked things off a month ago at Atlantic City Racecourse with the champ, Sandpit, winning the 7th Caesars International in between that great event. And today, here at Hollywood Park, the 2020 Tour, which benefited the Shoemaker Foundation. And I'm proud to say that we're approaching, with commitments still coming in, around $90,000 for the folks involved who need it the most.
We'll take the people back to that dinner on July 8th. Spectacular event at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas as the racing luminaries turned out. There's Bill Shoemaker, Lafitte Pincaya, the great Hall of Fame rider. Silent and live auction, people had a great time, Vinny.
No question about it, Chris. We're very proud of the event. Of course, it grew, really doubled in size from last year, and we're looking forward to next year's event. I mean, anytime we can get together and collectively do something great for the sport of racing, we're happy to do so, and we're very proud of this year's event.
Part of the money raised for the Shoemaker Foundation came from, of course, Caesars Palace and the check presentation there.
Yes, Chris, we presented $10,000 in cash to the Shoemaker Foundation, in addition to our underwriting of the tour, of course, with the Daily Racing Form. 2 years in a row, we've enjoyed that co-sponsorship, and we're looking forward again to it next year.
Benny, thanks for your support for racing. Let's go down to Dave Johnson in the paddock.
Right, Chris. Well, you know, there are a lot of impressive facts about today's favorite Sandpit, who is now 3-5 up on the tote board. He's started in 20 Grade 1 races. He's won over $2.4 million, and he's spent time at the top of the American Turf Division in each of the past 2 years. And at age 7, he hasn't lost a step. Since arriving from his native Brazil 2 years ago, Sandpit has resided in the barn of trainer Dick Mandela, who describes his turf star's off-track personality this way.
Spoiled rotten. He just does what he wants when he wants. But he really loves to train. He loves to compete. He's a really healthy, sound horse. So with all that together, he's probably a better horse at 6 and 7 than he was when he was younger.
Sounds like a pretty good dirt horse named Cigar that we're all familiar with. But what's the secret to keeping an older runner at the top when many of his contemporaries are sliding down the class ladder?
Enthusiasm's a big thing. You know, as they get a little older, you've got to work on their mind. But the mind's always a problem. When they're young, they have different problems, and they get older, they have different problems, same as we do. But the mental aspect's very important.
At the Caesars International in Atlantic City, Sandpit's mental state was relaxed, so much so that he found himself several lengths off a slow pace. But when the opportunity presented itself, jockey Corey Nakatani scooted through an opening on the rail and quickly drew off to win by nearly 2 lengths. It was another big hit from the long line of Mandela's golden oldies.
I've always had good luck with the older ones. I think because I'm a little slow and it takes me a while to figure it out.
And there's Dick Mandel in the paddock right now. Boy, Gary, he's had a number of H-star in his career over the years.
And who could forget Best Pal?
Right. Now, I don't remember whether Best Pal ever went 1.5 miles, but does it take a special horse to go that far?
Well, it definitely takes a special kind of horse. You need a horse that will relax and still has the tenacity to fight through the stretch and have a good closing kick. And I guess it all depends on what that closing kick, how far they're going to have to run today. I think that the only way that this horse can get beat is if they put him into a run for a 1/2 mile or further. If they leave him alone until the quarter pole, he's going to be very, very difficult to beat today.
And as a jockey, it's pretty tough to be the first one after midnight.
Yes, it sure is. These jockeys are going to be sitting back there waiting, watching, seeing what everybody else is doing. Nobody's going to want to make that first move, so he could be allowed to be left alone. Win Sharp, she's a filly that we've talked about before. There's some rumors going around that they're going to change strategy today. She laid very, very close in the San Juan Capistrano. She laid second. That's not her usual style. Now, Wally DeLassey said that he's going to change her style today. We don't know what that style change is going to be, but I'd look for her to come from well off the pace today.
And she's beaten the boys before.
Yes, she has. The boys aren't a problem with her at all. She's raced against them 3 times, and she's beat them twice.
Gary, if you had to pick a horse in this field to race against Sandpit, who would it be?
Well, I think I'd have to ride Time Star. He's undefeated here in the United States right now. He's got the right style. He's got the style of a horse that I'd like to ride when there's an unbeatable horse on paper. That's the type of horse that, right here, you can see him up in his last race at Golden Gate, number 2. He's very rank here with Corey Black on him. Corey gets him settled by the first time that they come around. Here you can see him coming through the stretch with a very strong finish here. He's a steady horse. He's a stayer. He's going to get the 1.5 miles. He's going to keep Sandpit honest.
And he's won all 3 of his starts here, so that's the horse you'd like to ride.
If I had my choice, I'd ride Sandpit.
Well, how did Sandpit look to you here in the paddock?
Just a picture. He looked unbelievable. If I was going to a horse sale, had to select a horse, he's a standout.
And Lesigny looked pretty good, and he got some attention, but it will take something special for Jerry Bailey's horse to get home this afternoon.
I think so. We're looking at a horse here that is a complete standout, but, you know, that's what horse racing's all about, and especially going 1.5 miles. Anything can happen.
Let's give you a quick odds update before the post-parade. We've got Lesigny at 9-1, Awad, who won the Arlington Million last year at 7, Talwaz, they paid $25,000 to supplement this horse into the race, 13-1. Win Sharp, the only mare, is at 6, special price, longest price on the board at 30. Time Star, the horse that Gary would pick to ride against Sandpit if he had to pick a horse against Sandpit, and Sandpit himself at 125 pounds is 3-5. Chris?
All right, Dave, the horses are on the track. We had Herald Trumpets, we had Caesar, Cleopatra, Centurions, Handmaidens, and now we finally have our thoroughbreds. Here's the field for the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. We'll start with the 1, Lesigny from the barn of Billy Mott. Won the 1995 Rothmans in Canada, then 6 in the Caesars International in his only start this year. He does love today's 1.5 mile distance. The rider, one of the best, Jerry Bailey, Hall of Famer, last year's Eclipse champion. The rider, of course, of the Horse of the World, Cigar. The 2 is Awad. Last year's Arlington Million winner, but winless in 5 starts this year. 3rd in the Hollywood Turf Handicap, 4th at the Caesars International. He is a late runner. Chris McCarron, the Hall of Famer, has the assignment. The 3, Talwa, making his first start of the year. He was supplemented to this race, has not won since June of '95, 2nd in last December's Hollywood Turf Cup. Multiple Eclipse Award winner Kent DeSomo is the rider. The 4, our only mare in the field. This is Win Sharp, a tough race mare. 2nd in 1 3/4 miles in the San Juan Capistrano, has been given time off since that April 21st race. Eddie Delahose, the Hall of Famer, won this race back in 1986, is in the irons. the 5 Special Price. The last victory for this gelding was June of '95 at Golden Gate. 0 for 3 this year, 3rd in the July 4th Stars and Stripes. Rene Douglas, who won this year's Belmont and Editor's Note, has the assignment. The 6 is Time Star, a Group 1 winner in Europe and a perfect 3 for 3 since coming to the barn of Neil Drysdale here in the States. Recently won the Grade 2 Golden Gate Handicap. Corey Black, excellent on the turf, has the assignment. And then here is the big horse. This is Sandpit, the race favorite. He's earned the tag of the best turf horse in America. He's won 2 straight Grade 1s on 2 coasts, the Hollywood Turf and the Caesars International. Going for the sweep today, Corey Nakatani, second leading rider at the meet, has the assignment. He's won all 3 races in the Caesars Series. Well, there is the field for the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. The purse $700,000, the winner's check $420,000. Keeping you updated on the 3-year-old picture. This, the Visa 3-year-old championship point standings. Of course, we'll have the next big 3-year-old race, the Haskell, 2 weeks from today. It's Skipaway still on top. He'll be in that race. Editor's Note, then Unbridled Song, Cavanier, Grindstone, and Louis Quatorze, all driving for the Visa 3-year-old point championship of '96. Thrifty Car Rental racing across America welcomes you back here, 4 to 5. The favorite here, Sandpit, today, as you see, Caesar and Cleopatra enjoying the beautiful sunshine here in Southern California, getting ready for the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. Well, we told you the big favorite, of course, is Sandpit, but we're looking for some value in this race. Let's go to Dave Johnson for today's Budweiser Long Shot.
For a winner, and Awad, today's Budweiser long shot, is looking for a victory. The 6-year-old gelding has been winless since defeating Sandpit in the Arlington Million last August. In fact, he's been searching for a victory from Florida to California and back to the East Coast. Today, he's reunited with jockey Chris McCarron, who knows what it will take for Awad to win at 1.5 miles.
Awad is a horse that's capable of running that far. He's a real consistent horse. He's not very difficult to ride. He just likes to lay back and make a late run. And if he's got enough pace in front of him, that will help him a great deal.
Well, we can't guarantee the pace, but we feel the consistent Awad will give us all a good run for our money at a decent price, too, as today's Budweiser long shot.
Well, Dave will like this. I want opened at 5, but he is now 7 to 1. Our Budweiser long shot. By the way, guys, Vinny Miliolo likes 7-6-1. His trifecta: Sandpit, Time Star, Lassigny. Dave?
Well, there are a lot of things that it takes to win in this company at this distance. So, Gary, what are the thrifty keys to victory here this afternoon?
Well, I believe that key number 1 would be the start. Obviously has to be the start. The first turn comes up very, very quickly. It's very important to get into that first turn as smoothly as possible, as relaxed as possible, to set you up for key number 2, which is strategy. You've got to save ground. Very important to save ground going 1.5 miles. You've got to keep your horse relaxed. And you've got to have your horse in position for key number 3, the stretch. The stretch run is where this race is going to be won. But the whole bottom line is, no matter what kind of trip you've had, without some stamina underneath you, it doesn't matter what kind of race that you've ridden, what you've done in the early part of the race, you can't get the job done without the 1.5 miles stamina.
Gary Stevens with the S-File and the thrifty car rental keys to victory. Chris?
I see it all ties in. S. Stevens, S-File. Very good, Gary. When we come back, Caesar has decreed we will run the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. Back at the track of Lakes and Flowers and also the Hollywood Park Casino there in the background. It's almost post time for the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. Well, with 2 in the field this afternoon, trainer Neil Drysdale, the 5 Special Price, the 6 Time Star. We asked Neil earlier about where he'd like to see his 2 starters as they turn for home.
Oh, turning for home? Depends where all the other ones are, doesn't it? I mean, you go logically. No, I think it obviously depends on how. In these 1.5 mile races, I think it's more important how the first part of the race unfolds and as to what pace they're going. The main thing I like to see is going 1.5 miles. I like to see both of my horses relaxed, where they are and where they're positioned is not that important. It's more how relaxed they are, they're traveling well within themselves and going comfortably.
So Neil Drysdale, who has a couple in here, he says it's more important how they're going than where they are. He trains Special Price and Time Star. Gary, as a jockey, do you agree with that?
Well, I definitely do, especially for Neil Drysdale. His feeling is that if a horse stays relaxed, nice and relaxed, everything else is going to take care of itself. That horse is going to be in good position, and he's going to have something left to finish with.
Let's talk about horses for courses. Sandpit has raced on the turf here at Hollywood 3 times. He has 2 wins and a victory. Does that mean he's got it again today?
Not necessarily. I do know one thing, that if a horse is going to handle a turf course, they'll handle Hollywood Park. In my opinion, one of the best turf courses in the United States. If they don't like this one, they don't like any of them.
So there are 2 horses who've never raced on the lawn here, Lassigny and Time Star. So no problem with first time at Hollywood.
I don't see any problem at all with it, Dave.
Quick odds update here. As we see, Sandpit is 4-5. Second choice is Windsharp, the mare at 4.5. Awad and Lassigny up at 6 and 7-1, along with Time Star at 7. Chris?
Well, they've approached the starting gate now, and we'll be going upstairs very soon for the call of the Caesars Palace Turf Championship with Luke Kreitbos. He is the new voice of Hollywood Park this season, in his first season here. We do look, of course, at Turf Paradise and our good race caller, the quarter horses at Ruidoso Downs, Luke Kreitbos. He's going to see all the action with those glasses, isn't he? As Luke is set for the race. And I'll take a look at our stakes and track record before we go upstairs now. Zoffany at 242 and 2, the stakes, and the course record 224 and 1. There are the stakes record here, and the course record. They're in the
off and running in the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. Awad bounding out on top, immediately headed by Sandpit to the outside, and Sandpit is up to take the lead. Lassigny comes away second on the inside. Awad is forwardly placed. He's right there third. Time Star racing fourth to the outside, and the mare Windsharp is right there, just 3 off the pacemaker. And behind that comes Talwa, about 5 lengths off the pace, and Special Price at the back of the pack. Round the 5 turn into the stretch for the first time, and the favorite Sandpit takes him along comfortably, leads it clear by a length and 3/4 now. Time Star moving up a closer second with the mare Windsharp right there along the inside. Too far the back, Lassigny is 4 lengths off the pace. Then Talwa tucked in nicely along the inside. And behind that, Awad settles in second last, and long shot Special Price is at the back of the pack. Past the stands with 1 lap to go now. The opening half mile was covered in 48 1/5 seconds, and Corey Nakatani's got a good trip up front so far with the favorite Sandpit. Sandpit leads the way by nearly 2. Windsharp cuts the corner on the inside second. Time Star right there on the outside. 2 deep racing in third. And 3 back, Lassigny settling in with Talwa on the inside. Talwa 6 off the pace. 2 farther back to Awad. At the back of the pack continues to be Special Price. Wheeling to the backstretch. Sandpit takes him along through 6 furlongs in 1:11 and 4. A solid tempo out here for Sandpit, who's galloping along by a length and 1/4. Time Star trying to put some pressure on him in second. Windsharp biding her time along the inside third. Now Lassigny being nudged along on the outside, and joining that one is Talwa moving through between rivals. With Awad next, 6 lengths off the pacemaker, and Special Price continues to trail. Heading for the 5 turn now. 1 mile and 1:35 and 3. The tempo quickening here. Sandpit has led every step of the way. He's clear by 2 now. Time Star second. Talwa now revving up between rivals as they head around the 5 turn. Sandpit has got the lead. Talwa gaining ground along the inside. Lassigny packed out 4 wide. Awad now unleashing his stretch drive on the extreme outside, and Time Star at the top of the lane. Sandpit's got the lead. Talwa to give him a stiff test here to the outside. Sandpit set down for the drive, but Talwa pushing on by. Sandpit can't respond to the challenge of Talwa, and Talwa has taken the lead, and Talwa is drawing off. Talwa to go on to upset Sandpit here in the Caesars Palace Turf Championship, and Talwa scores by 3. Very tight for the place here. Awad in a photo finish with Sandpit. Talwa wins the Caesars Palace Turf Championship.
All right, Luke. Well, we didn't get the Budlong shot, but RD did get his Hubbard Budlong shot. What a shocker. A $25,000 supplement. Talwa, a 6-year-old horse by Trempolino, has making his first start this year. Has not won until today since June of 1995. A real stunner here under Kent DeSermo, trained as Sandpit is by Dick Mandela. But Dick had the wrong horse win today as far as the Sandpit connections go. Talwa came in. We'll take another look now with Dave and Gary.
Let's take a look at it. Sandpit was pressed early, and that was the key to victory for Talwaz.
Yes, it was, and Ken DeSormo just rode a perfect race here. He knew that to beat this horse, he was going to have to come after him early. He did come after him early, and he had plenty of horse left to run through the stretch, and he's actually drawing off, which is uncharacteristic of this horse. He usually gets in front, wants to play, doesn't like to win, but he liked to win today.
And he's a nutcase, from what I understand.
Yes, he is.
But Talwaz was reined in, and Kent DeSormo brings him first under the wire. The Kentucky-bred wins by 3 lengths. Chris?
Talwaz, the upset winner of the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. There he is hitting the wire. We'll be back with more. There is our unofficial winner of the 1996 Caesars Palace Turf Championship. This is the 3-horse Talwaz, 6-year-old chestnut horse owned by R.D. Hubbard, his good friend Dr. Ed Allred, and from France. Arasta Mazzare is also part of the ownership here, trained by Dick Mandela and ridden brilliantly, as Gary Stevens pointed out, by Kent DeSormo. Talwaz, again, a $25,000 supplement to this event. He goes to the post for the 19th time, wins just his 5th race, and with this check, it looks like he'll go over the $1 million mark in earnings. Dave, Gary, let's get some of your thoughts. Another look at Talwaz's surprising win here today.
Well, Kent was threading his way between horses over on the backstretch, and he got within a good, clear run of the favorite.
You know, he got a dream trip along the fence, and I'm sure going through Kent's mind right now, am I going to make the lead too early? Because in the past, when this horse has made the lead too early, he's had a habit of pulling up and getting himself beat. Today, for some reason, he decided to be a full-blown racehorse. He goes on about his business and wins very, very impressively. Kent just rode him with a lot of confidence and just an exceptional race.
And the place spot goes to Awad, the Bud Long shot, and the favorite Sandpit, carrying a lot more than the rest of the field, was 3rd under the wire. Talwaz supplemented at $25,000, trained by Dick Mandela, gets the victory. Chris?
All right, fellas, you see the winner heading out to the winner's circle now, Talwaz. And again, hadn't been back since race since June of 95, his last win, that his last time in the winner's circle. He found his way back there very nicely, though, this afternoon. Talwaz, our unofficial winner. Dave?
I'm with Chris McCarron, who was aboard the Bud Longshot. Awad, who finished 2nd. You got first call out of the gate.
Oh, I'm a gate riding fool, Dave.
Even with Awad.
Even going 1.5 miles. I could beat anybody out of the gate.
But let's watch the stretch drive. You got the place spot. He had a nice handful of horse today.
He fired hard today. When I rode him in the San Juan Capistrano, he hung just a bit for second money. He went up 3rd, but he finished all the way today. He ran hard, and Talwaz is an awful nice horse, and he ran to the best of his ability today. I thought he might be a short horse today after the long layoff, but he finished awful strongly.
And here comes Chris McCarron on the horse, 3rd at this point, who will get the place spot. Awad, what kind of a horse is he to ride?
He's an iron horse. Oh, well, he's very kind to ride. He's really kind to ride, but he must be made of iron because he ships all over the country, always runs his race, always gets a check. He's a real pleasure to ride.
Trained by a really nice guy, Dave Doan.
Yeah, he's learned his lessons well from old Woody.
Thanks very much, Chris McCarron. Back to you, Chris.
All right, Dave, the Bud Long Shot won our Hollywood Gold Cup in our last start, runs 2nd today. The Hubbard Long Shot wins the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. Talwaz will be back to talk to the winners right after this. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, presented by Visa with the very best in thoroughbred racing. To recap all the action, be sure to join us every Wednesday for the Racehorse Digest on ESPN this Wednesday at 3:30 Eastern. Dave Johnson down to the winner's circle.
I'm here with the winning trainer and the jockey of Talwaz, Dick Mandela, Kent DeSormo. Is this a bittersweet victory?
It is, but it is still sweet. But as much trouble as this horse has been and looked like he should have won a lot of races, I had a feeling when Mr. Hubbard came up with this idea that
supplementing him?
Yeah, that this would be the day he'd win. The day he'd cost me the $1 million bonus.
And he did.
Right, but he's always been a good horse, and we've always expected him to do these things, and he finally came through.
But he's a little strange to ride?
Oh, I tell you, he can duck, prop, stop on the dime, but like Mr. Mandela said, we've been involved in some races with him where I didn't know whether to laugh or cry after the outcome, and, well, I just cried because he got defeated, but today he got it done. He did the thing right.
Let's take a look down the lane. And did he throw you any surprises today?
Well, I tell you, the only surprise was that he had me just running over the top of the horse in front, and after he switched leads and straightened away for home, he ran straight and true for about 80 yards, and then he started looking around as I was, trying to see if there was anybody coming, and his head carried a little higher than normal, but he went on and got the job done.
You yelled at him.
I yelled at him nice and loud.
Dick, where might Talwa show up next?
Not sure. The Arlington Million will be on the agenda. You know, all the good long turf races that we have around here.
He wins today. Chris?
We don't need to ask the trainer where he's going. Let's talk to the man who made him run the horse today. R.D. Hubbard, his good friend Dr. Ed Allred here, the owners of our big upset winner today, Talwa. Congratulations, D. And you had some work to do on Mr. Mandela to get him in this race.
Yes, I had to talk Richard into paying the late penalty, and then I had to talk him into running the horse. And, of course, now I'm sure he'll take all the credit for it, but Ed and I here are the ones that really made it happen. I want you to know.
Well, Dr. Allred, we think of him with quarter horse racing, the man who is Los Alamitos race course. Mile and a half, long race for you, Ed.
That's right. I can't even take any credit for it because I wasn't even going to come and see him run. I didn't see how he could possibly be ready to run. So he was obviously ready, and Richard Mandela did a heck of a job. And I'm along for the ride in this horse, and it certainly is a long way for a quarter horse boy.
Well, Dee, of course, the opening ceremonies, the Olympics on Friday. You're in Atlanta. Now back for this. What's the best one?
Well, I just tell you, this was a big thrill, and the horse has had a lot of bad luck. He should have won the Arc when he was 3. Last year we were in Brazil, and we thought we'd won a $2.5 million race and a 15-minute photo. We ended up an inch short. And so this is a thrill for us to win, finally get us a Group 1 win.
The Hubbard long shot comes through today. Talwa. We'll be back with more of our Caesars Palace Turf Championship. Air transportation provided by Western Pacific Airlines for super low fares to 21 great destinations throughout the U.S. from coast to coast. Call 1-800-930-3030 to fly westbound. And Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, is being brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic Summer Games. This Bud's for you. And by Wittnauer Watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wittnauer, the watchmaker's watch. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 1,100 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. Talwa, our winner of the Caesars Palace Turf Championship of 1996. And coming up next, the Burnett Senior Golf Classic on ESPN. Dave Johnson.
It's official. The Caesars Palace Turf Championship goes to Talwa's, paying $28.80, $10 and $3.20. Awad, the Bud Long Shot, $7, $3. Sandpit, the heavyweight, and the favorite, $2.20. The exact at $252 even. The full order. The gold medal goes to Talwa's. Silver to Awad. Sandpit was 3rd, followed by the Mare, Windsharp, Lasigny, Time Star, and Special Price. Gary, your thoughts?
Well, we've got Awad coming back into form, rounding back in form right now, and a possible great matchup back in the Arlington Million. He was the winner last year. Let's see if he can do it again this year.
Chris?
Joining me now, the president of Caesars Sports World, Rich Rose. Rich, any regrets you didn't cash the $280,000 bonus check today?
Not really, Chris. I think, though, that compliments to D. Hubbard for supplementing Talwa, because one of the reasons that he ran the horse was to make sure that we had a full 6-horse field so that the bonus could be paid if Sandpit won. But Dick Mandela Dick Mandela'd himself and came home with a great win. Hand ride for Kent DeSormo. Big horse, big upset, great for racing.
7 times you've run Atlantic City, twice here. Have you had a winner yet yourself?
I am 0 for Caesars, which doesn't bode too well. So whatever I do, just bet the other way. But, you know, again, great race today, and thanks to you and Jim Wilbur and everybody at Winter for making our series happen, and hope to have you back next year.
Thank you, Rich. We'll look forward to it as well. And we'll remind you, our Racing to the Breeders' Cup Series with Dave Johnson will be starting 2 weeks away. The Whitney Handicap on Saturday from Saratoga, August 3rd. And then on Sunday, they'll be at Monmouth Park for the Rich Haskell Invitational bonus then coverage of the Jim Dandy from Saratoga. So here at Hollywood Park, it is Talwa, the upset winner for R.D. Hubbard of the Caesars Palace Turf Championship. This has been a Winter Communications presentation, association with ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.